I think there's 4 questions I think it's really helpful to consider when you're going to reinvent yourself or your brand. So here they are. The first one is ask yourself, is what I'm doing a rebrand or is it an evolution of my existing brand? Those are not the same thing. A rebrand is I'm going in a totally different direction. A rebrand might be Ron is no longer a creative, he's an accountant. Like an evolution of your existing brand is I used to be focused on podcasts and comedy and now I'm a filmmaker. That's a shift. And a lot of the stuff you might make films about is similar to the things that you were doing in your podcast. There's some through line there, right? That's an evolution. In most cases with creatives, it's an evolution more so than it is a rebrand. I think that's helpful to but it's helpful to think about in your own mind, what are you doing? The second question to ask yourself is, what's the story behind the shift that you're making? And how can you tell that story and make that story compelling to your audience? Can you tell it and how can you tell it repeatedly in different ways in different places? The key here is there's always a story behind what you're doing and the direction that you're going. The more people understand where you're going and why, the more likely they are to follow you there. The third question is your new brand designed to appeal to a new audience or is it for the same audience but in a new way? For example, it would be one thing to shift a brand from helping creators to helping creators use AI. That's appealing to the same audience. It's just sort of doing it in a different way. It's a totally different thing to shift your brand from helping creators to helping nonprofit organizations. So understanding what this new brand shift is, right? Is it about a new audience or is it about a similar audience in a new way? And it might be a little bit of both, but helpful to sort of think through how that works. And then the last question here to think about is how will you know you've been successful? What does it look like to rebrand yourself? And I think ideally you're going to aim for some sort of metrics or something that is better than just it feels like it's working. It feels like people see me differently or get what I'm doing. So is it about sales? Is it about more subscribers? Is it about more different or better leads? Is it about more testimonials? Is it about, attracting new people to your films or converting a certain number of people in your audience to watch your films? Is it about a different type of client or audience member? Or maybe it's about less of all of those things. A lot of times, more subscribers, not necessarily better. More followers, not necessarily better. The questions you're getting, the replies, the qualitative stuff beyond just the quantitative stuff, the opportunities that are coming your way. Are people contacting you for advice about filmmaking as opposed to advice or with opportunities around filmmaking as opposed to advice or opportunities around podcasting? These can be very subtle things that indicate people are seeing you differently and are ways to sort of measure the quote unquote success of your rebrand.